Creating safety is essential on the healing journey. It is a foundational piece. It is, in my experience, impossible to do the deep healing work to really integrate past wounding and trauma, to release limiting beliefs, and to really step into the new version of you, to cultivate or call forth your heart's desires, and to really live the life that you truly desire if you don't have that foundation of safety. This is so essential, and it's something that I've been teaching on for a number of years now. This is where all of my work begins, whether we're in a program together, whether we're working one-on-one or whatever it might be. Creating safety is always that first building block, because this is what sets us up for success. It's really about coming into really developing the ability to regulate our nervous system and our emotions, to feel safe, to lean into intense emotions, to feel what is alive inside of you. Because it's one thing to say, like, just feel the anger, feel the sadness, or just let the thing go, let that belief go and just do the affirmation. But there is a reason why these things have been suppressed, these things have been pushed down, these beliefs have been developed. We have protective mechanisms, coping mechanisms in place for a reason. So we can't just rip them out without overwhelming our nervous system and potentially creating more trauma, more wounding, more blocks. The creating safety piece is what's going to allow you to heal, integrate, alchemize the past, and step into the new you, the life that you desire, to shift the patterns that have maybe been unshiftable for some time, patterns that were like, why do I keep doing this? Like, I'm self-sabotaging, or I'm pushing love away, or whenever like good things start to come my way, I just kind of ruin it or sabotage it. And we have these different things that we do. We have reactions. We may be in a relationship and we could really feel like, yeah, I so love this person, but as soon as I get triggered, I just want to run away. I just want to fight. I say horrible things, or I shut down. Maybe it's even with pleasure. It's like, I so desire to experience the fullness of my pleasure. I desire to be fully expressed. I desire to be my authentic self, but something is stopping me. Something is blocking that. And so in order to explore that more deeply, to uncover what's really going on, we need that foundation of safety, so that you've got that place inside of you that can really hold you through the intensity of the waves. Because the healing journey, it comes with intensity. It comes with feeling the uncomfortable. It comes with leaning into the unfamiliar, the unknown. And the mind, the ego, has a sense of safety in the familiar, in what it knows. And so it will always try to keep you in what it knows, even if it is a pattern or a belief or a wound that's actually causing you more harm. There is this idea that's deeply stored that says, I am safer here because it's what I know. I can anticipate, I can go into my protective mechanisms, I can go into habits that I've practiced for years and even decades. And that creates this feeling like I'm safer just to stay here. Because I don't know what's on the other side. I don't know how this will unfold. I don't know that if I step into this, if I'll be okay. Will I be accepted if I'm my full authentic self? Will I be loved? Or will the people in my life no longer want to be around me because they don't really know who I am? They know what I used to be, and now I'm my authentic self. Maybe they don't vibe with that. Maybe they don't resonate, and maybe they leave, and then that can trigger feelings or fears and wounds around abandonment, rejection. Like, my authentic self is not enough. A lot of us hold the belief that I'm not good enough, and so we try to contort ourselves into a version that we believe will be loved, accepted, and belong. And there's this fear, like, if I fully embrace and embody who I truly am, and someone doesn't like that, that will hurt too much. If someone rejects this facade, this false version of me, well, it wasn't the real me anyway. So there's this idea that it won't hurt as much, but actually it still hurts. And actually, if anything, it hurts more, because you're like, I've just done all this work, made all this effort to be someone else that I thought you would love and accept, and it's still not enough, like that actually hurts so much deeper, rather than being in your full authenticity and someone saying, no, that's not for me, and you're like, cool, fine, that's all good. Like, let's create space for someone that does vibe with my full authentic self. And how much more can I love and accept my authentic self? Because a lot of this is really coming from the fact that we don't actually love and accept ourselves. We're judging ourselves, we're shaming ourselves, wronging ourselves, and thinking like, I've got to be more of this or less of that. And what happens is those deep beliefs of, I don't believe I'm enough, I don't love and accept myself, that's what's being projected out into the world. It's your inner world that's creating your outer world. So actually, by creating this sense of this deep inner safety for yourself to really step into and fully embody your authenticity, your authentic self, that is actually what's going to project outward and start to call in the people that are going to really vibe with you, that are going to so deeply love and accept you and be like, where have you been all my life? And that's where you start to find your soul tribe. That's where you start to actually feel the deep love, acceptance, and belonging that you have been craving for potentially all of your life. But you're never going to feel that true love, acceptance, and belonging as long as you're not being yourself, because you're never actually going to be fully accepted because you're not being you. And if you're not being you, then no one gets to know who you are, so they never actually get to give you the love and acceptance that you deeply desire. Because even if you're being this false version of you and wearing these different masks, and maybe there's people in your life that love and accept you for that particular version, you don't really feel loved and accepted because it's not the real you. So we can continue to create all these, like wear all these masks and keep going with the protective mechanisms and coping and trying to avoid feeling the discomfort and the pain, but we're just creating more discomfort, more pain, more separation, more harm, more wounds, strengthening those limiting beliefs. So what I have found is an essential piece to unraveling all of this and really coming into your full authenticity is starting with the foundations of creating safety. If we look at it from like an attachment styles perspective, it's like when we look at, say, anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and secure attachment, a lot of us find ourselves in either the anxious or avoidant. And this creating safety is supporting us to transition into secure attachment. And from that secure attachment, we can create much more harmonious relationships, deeper connection, really feel safe to open to love, to let love in, and to receive, to really experience the life that we are here for, the life that we deeply desire. It's all going to start with this inner safety that you've got to build for yourself. And it's not like all right, I ticked the box, I've created safety, what next? It's actually a continuous process of deepening and deepening and deepening into more and more safety. So there's always more layers, always more available to you. We are always evolving, growing, changing. And this is really exciting because it's like knowing that there's always more for you to experience. There's always more available to you. And the journey gets to be really exciting. Like, what else is out there? How much more safe can I feel? How much more secure can I feel? And I share that piece because sometimes we put these expectations and these pressures on ourselves to get from A to B in a certain time period. So it's like, I've got to get to for this example, I've got to feel safe in like one workshop, or after this, listening to this episode, or it's in a month, or after a program. Like we put these time restrictions on ourselves when we don't realize that actually this is a continuous, ever changing, ever evolving journey. And it's going to take time because there is so many layers and programming and conditioning and things that have been in our system that have kept us in fear for a long time. And so whilst you will have spontaneous shifts as you move through this journey, as you immerse yourself in these teachings and these embodiment journeys and really do the work, because it's one thing to listen to this conversation, but are you doing the work? Are you really going into the body and creating that safety? So this is going to take some time, and I invite you to even remove the concept of time and actually just inviting yourself again and again and again to be in the moment, to be here and now, and to feel what's true for you here and now. Noticing each day, how am I feeling? What would support me to feel more safe and more secure in this moment? What's coming up for me? Oh, there's a bit of discomfort or irritability or anxiousness or nervousness, or I'm feeling some fear. Get curious about that. Allow that to teach you and guide you and reveal to you what's going on. Because when we can start to get curious and become the witness or the observer of our experience, and it's not about stepping out of your experience where we're bypassing, it's still experiencing the experience, but noticing that you are the experiencer and starting to take a seat into the witness consciousness, into that observer role, and getting really curious. What is coming up for me here? What is here to be felt? How can I lean more into this? How can I meet my edge? Because it's when you meet that edge and you honor that edge and you work with that, rather than trying to throw yourself into the deep end and trying to feel all the things all at once. Again, we're trying to get to where we want to be as fast as possible, which is actually sometimes just not actually of the greatest service. It can be too intense, too fast, too much too fast is pretty much is what I'm trying to share here. And this is what actually can create trauma, is experiencing too much too fast is what can create trauma. And so even on the healing journey, we can actually be traumatizing ourselves by pushing and forcing and trying to throw ourselves in the deep end and overwhelming our systems before we've actually built the foundations of safety, of resourcing, of regulating our nervous system, of really meeting our edge and honoring that edge. So I've spoken about this before, and so it might sound familiar, of like going as far as you can, like going as deep as you can, meeting that edge of maybe it's even resistance that you start to experience. You're like, all right, this is my edge, or I'm feeling like an intense emotion, and it's like that point before dissociation or distracting. If you notice yourself kind of distracting yourself or numbing out or going into coping mechanisms, potentially what you're experiencing might be quite intense, and maybe you need some support here and you need to reach out to a mentor or a coach or someone that can hold space for you so you can move through that. But also just becoming aware, like, oh, I've met my edge. Can I just take some deep breaths here, bring myself back into the body and notice what is coming up for me, what is bubbling up, and what do I need to support myself through this? Can I allow myself to touch the sadness, touch the anger, touch the rage, and then resource and come back to your center? Breathe. Your breath is so important here. If there is a lot of intensity in the body, can you bring in a little movement, some shaking, some sounding? Can you place a hand on your heart and just reassure yourself? If you have children, you might also resonate with, like, when they're feeling a lot of intensity, how do we nurture them? How do we hold space for them? How do we reassure them and be there for them? How can we do that for ourselves? And the more that we do this for ourselves, the easier it becomes to do it for others as well. So let's just take a few moments here to allow this to land. I've still got a few more pieces I want to share with you. And feel free at any point to pause this and maybe take some notes of what's coming up for you, what's resonating, and this will just help to anchor in what you're receiving. So creating safety is about creating inner security, giving to ourselves what our original caregivers weren't able to give us, meeting ourselves with love, compassion, holding space, welcoming all parts, ending cycles of self-judgment and shaming, and even letting go of the people that are not serving, creating space for new people, new experiences to enter your life. So this can also be a time of shedding and creating space, clearing out and becoming aware of, oh, this is not serving me, or this is creating more harm. How can I lean into more safety, more security, more support? And what is of the greatest service to me and to all? Because as you start to prioritize yourself, fill up your cup, take care of you, it impacts all of us. We're all connected. And sometimes we hold on to experiences, people, things in our life from a place again of there's a sense of safety of like, this is what I know. And I don't know who I am without this, or I don't know if I say let go of this person that's maybe not healthy to have in my life. If I let go of them, I'll be alone. Maybe there won't be anyone else. And so when we start to explore the concept of inner safety, it will start to bring these things up to the surface. And it's not about, again, throwing yourself in the deep end and doing all the scary things, like saying goodbye or setting a boundary or expressing your full self or expressing all the different emotions. That might be too much too soon. And so it's like, how can I just take the next step? How can I start to feel or create more safety for myself here? So I find a lot of these pieces will bring up inner child work and inner child healing. And so as we meet the part of ourselves that's afraid and support that part to see how what it's doing is actually creating more harm, and that you are here for this part, you welcome this part, you love this part, and you show it a new way. You show it a new way that it's actually going to create more safety, more love, more acceptance. It's actually going to get its needs met. So a lot of the time we're craving our needs getting met by our original caregivers that weren't able to meet them at some time in our life. There can also be experiences that we hold from social interactions, from when we were in school, in friendships, things that we crave, that we craved connection, we craved community, we craved belonging, and maybe we experienced bullying and it didn't feel safe to be our weird, quirky self, or it didn't feel safe to be in our full expression. It didn't feel safe to set a boundary and say no. It didn't feel safe to let love in. But now, who you are today, you are a grown person, and you have the capacity to say no, to set the boundary, to be an advocate for yourself, to choose to open your heart. And so we're letting these parts know, I've got you, I love you, I accept you, and we're giving them what they most need. And as we start to meet their needs and see them, hear them, feel them, let them express through you to you, they're going to feel safer inside of you, and they're going to begin to integrate and heal and come back into wholeness. And you'll find that there is a deeper inner security within you, that now you have less or even no fear. It could be like it just feels like it's more easeful to enter into relationships, to let love flow, to say no, to say yes, to go after what you want. So this is a big conversation, because as we explore creating safety, it does bring up other elements and other areas and other parts of the healing journey. Because we start to get curious, well, why am I not feeling safe? What is it in my environment, inner environment or outer environment, that's creating the feeling or the belief that I'm not safe? Where does that come from? And so as you're receiving this message, I invite you to contemplate that. Where does this feeling of I'm not safe come from? Where did I learn this? Do I want to hold on to it? And if not, if I want to move into a deeper sense of safety and inner security, what's my next step here? Am I willing to do the work? Because it is going to require you to show up and do the work. It's more than just shifting mindset and shifting the belief. It's more than just affirmation or meditation. It's really going into the places where this feeling or this belief of I'm not safe is lodged in the body. And we start to support those parts of ourselves to feel more safe, to integrate those words, to do the embodiment work. This is so essential. And so I want to remind you that the external world is a reflection of your inner world. So when I don't feel safe inside, that is projected outward, and I start to have experiences that give me evidence that say, see, yep, you're not safe. Hold on to that belief, hold on to those protective mechanisms, keep doing what you're doing because, see, your environment is telling you you're in fact not safe. But actually, it's your inner world that's creating the outer world. When we don't feel safe inside because maybe there's a trauma or an experience or a belief that we've had lodged inside our system for maybe years or even decades, it will start to create the feeling and the belief that I'm not safe in the world. I'm not safe to be myself. And we start to see that in our relationships, in our experiences, in our workplace. And we actually become magnetic for more experiences that tell us we're not safe. So it's in doing this inner work, shifting the inner environment, creating inner safety that will create your outer safety, that will support you to feel more secure in your relationships, in your workspace, in your business, in putting yourself out there, in being seen, in letting love in creating the life that you most desire. We start inside and that starts to shift the outside. And it may not happen instantaneously, but that's the journey that we're on, where we're uncovering, we're unraveling, we're meeting the different parts that are calling to be healed, that are calling to be alchemized, so that we can move into the true version of ourselves, the authentic self, and live in our truth, live in alignment. So again, just taking a few moments here. This is quite a deep conversation and it can start to bring some stuff up. So really just taking this at your own pace. I want to start to go into now some of the ways that we might experience unsafety. So some of the symptoms of this core belief or this core wound of I'm not safe. And so we might start to notice that we are stuck in hypervigilance, almost like sitting on the edge of our seat, anticipating what's to come. Maybe even like you start to feel good and good things are happening and you're like, when's the other shoe gonna drop? And you're looking, waiting for everything to fall apart. You meet someone and you're feeling like madly in love and you're feeling so excited about this new relationship and you're like, there's this anxiety like, oh, what if this doesn't last? What if they don't like me? What if I say the wrong thing? Or what if they see a part of me that they don't like and they leave? And there's like this anxiety. We might notice ourselves getting triggered a lot, like we're hypersensitive and easily triggered. And when we're triggered, we go into our survival response of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Sometimes we jump around and go into all of these depending on the situation and what's being triggered and what's being poked. We notice this a lot in relationships because there's a lot of wounding in our initial relationships coming into this human experience. So with your mother, with your father, with siblings, leading into school years and with your community, there's a lot of relating wounds and needs that weren't met from those original caregivers, from those in our life, especially those closest to us. And so these wounds that are unresolved, that are lodged in the body, start to attract people and situations and experiences into your life that are going to poke these wounds to bring them to the surface so that they can be integrated and so that they can be released. Because it's just like if you cut yourself, your body knows how to heal. It's the same with trauma, with emotional wounds, with belief systems. There is a natural desire for the body to be in homeostasis, for the body to heal itself in all ways, energetically, emotionally, mentally. And so when we're getting triggered, it's revealing to you what's unresolved inside, what needs your attention, what needs to be felt, expressed, and integrated. So we can often go into blame and story around, like, my partner did this, it made me feel this way, why would they do that, I can't believe they did this, they must not love me, they don't respect me, they're gonna leave me. And we go into this story rather than actually getting curious about, what is this revealing to me? What is this bringing up? And what is it that I need here? Because there is something much deeper coming up. It's much less to do with what's happening in the present and what's deeper inside. That's what the trigger's revealing. And so this is how we start to draw that up and out of our system. This is what's going to give you the awareness of what is here. And the awareness is your gateway to your transformation. So coming into curiosity here, rather than going into story or blame, whether you're blaming yourself, you're blaming someone else, we're going into a story of what it means. What if it doesn't mean anything other than the fact that there's something inside of you that needs to come up and out, that wants to be released so that you can heal, integrate, and come home to yourself? And so the reason why a lot of this stuff will come up in relationships is because it's a relationship wound. It's a relating wound. And we can do a lot of healing when we're single, when we're on our own. But we will go much deeper and touch much deeper places when we're in relationship. And not just intimate relationship, but friendships, work relationships. When we become a parent and we have children, they know how to poke those wounds. Especially if you've experienced something when you are their age, to say that they're 3 and there's something that's lodged in your system from when you were 3, they will have a way, they're not intentionally doing it, of course, but there will be a trigger that will almost like bring up this this memory, not necessarily like a visual memory. You might not know why it's coming up, but you'll feel it in the body. You'll start to get reactive at certain things. So get really curious here. And then it's through this embodiment work, doing the inner work, that you can integrate this on a much deeper level, which is going to lead to more and more feelings of, I am safe, it's safe to be me, it's safe to let love in, it's safe to create the life that I want and go after what I want. And just also becoming aware that there's nothing wrong with you because you're going into protective mechanisms. There's nothing wrong with you because you're experiencing the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. These are intelligent processes and mechanisms that were put in place at a time that you most needed them, where you felt unsafe and you did what you could in order to protect yourself. It's just that now who you are, these protective mechanisms are no longer serving and maybe even creating more harm. And so they just need to be updated. So we're not going to rip out our protective mechanisms without having something to put in their place to create that safety. So we're just updating the programs so that we can feel safe, we can feel protected, we can honor our protectors. Because if you think about it, there is a part of you that must love you so much and must know how precious that you are, that it wants to protect you, that it will overwhelm or consume the system in order to create some form of protection and safety. It's just doing what it knows and what it's done for many years. So we're going to support these parts to update, to see who you are now, and to come home, to know that you are now safe to feel these emotions, to let love flow, to be in relationship. And that's a process. And it's really going to require you to go within and to do this deeper work. And something that I always highly recommend is working with someone, because when you start to touch these deeper layers, it can be quite intense. It can bring up a lot. And so to have that support, in my opinion, is incredibly essential. So some other things that you might notice, that if you are feeling or holding this belief or this wound around feeling unsafe, is you might start to notice like a lot of like stress, anxiety, overwhelm. You might find yourself like unable to express yourself, whether that's your emotions or whether that's sharing with someone how you're feeling, or setting a boundary, or saying no, or even saying yes. There can almost be like this constriction in the throat that shuts down the voice, and you're like, why can't I speak? Why can't I say what I need to say? Why can't I tell them what's going on for me? And there's something inside of you saying it's not safe, and it's pulling on the handbrake, like, no, you can't do that. And it's like almost feels impossible to speak. And this is something that I struggled with for a very long time. And so we want to start to support that part to feel safe to express, so that we can be in our fullness, our authenticity, and live the life that we truly desire. There's also these fears around, if I do this, if I show up in this way, if I express this, I will lose love, I will lose acceptance, I will lose belonging. And this is actually a threat to our survival, because we are tribal beings. We are designed to be in community. And if there is a fear that I will be abandoned, rejected, or banished, that is actually a threat, like a deep, primal, instinctual threat to our survival. So we will contort and change ourselves in order to fit in. We will hold things back. We will play small. We will try to be perfect. We will try to be who we think we need to be, or who we think others want us to be, in order to fit in. But if we can start to deepen that inner safety and love and accept ourselves on a very deep level, that is going to shift this experience. You're going to start to feel safer and safer and safer to be fully you. And like I said earlier, you're going to align to your soul tribe, to the community that has been waiting for you, for your full self, for your authentic self. Because your authenticity, your uniqueness holds so many gifts. Your uniqueness, what you might even consider weird or like wrong or shameful, these could be actually your superpowers, your gifts that you're here to share with the world. And the more that we step into our fullness and our authenticity, really embrace this, we're also sending that out into the collective, into all of humanity, that it's okay for others to be themselves. And so even if you're just doing this for yourself, maybe you're doing it also for those around you, but it starts by doing this for ourselves, and we're actually having a great impact on all of humanity, because we're all connected. We are now saying that it's okay for you to be you too. We start to become that reminder and that walking permission slip. It's okay to be you. It's okay to be you. And as you walk through the world, people feel that. And so we get to grow and rise together. And so as we start to explore where this may stem from, where did this unsafety come from? You will notice that it will start to bring up a lot of stuff from the past, and you may not have necessarily the memory, but you might start to have like body memory, because the body remembers everything, even if the mind does not, if the mind has shut that down or protecting you from that memory. But you might even notice that some memories do show up of what added or created this feeling of I'm not safe. And so remembering that these things are coming up to be healed, to be integrated. Even just starting to notice what might have your parents felt when even when, even throughout their life really, but like, how were they showing up in your childhood? How was your mother in her pregnancy? Like if your parents experienced a lot of stress, they didn't feel safe, it wasn't safe for them to be themselves, maybe you witnessed your mother or your father like afraid to express themselves or holding back or playing small or contorting themselves. And so these are learned behaviors. We're absorbing those experiences and witnessing, watching how others were moving through the world, and we learned from this. So these are learned behaviors. So starting to get curious about that and seeing what shows up. And so as we start to create this deeper safety, you're going to find that you begin to experience more aliveness, more of your authenticity, more feeling in your body, and more able to experience the joy of life, the magic of life. And it's a continuous journey. It doesn't mean that you never feel quote unquote bad again. It doesn't mean you never feel an uncomfortable emotion or experience. It just means that you respond to it differently. You're no longer getting caught up in that. You're no longer making stories about it, or if you do notice a story coming up, you witness it. And you can ask yourself, is this story true? Is this a story that I want to continue telling myself? And you start to reclaim your power here. And this is where you get to create magic. You're co-creating with the universe, and you get to create the life and the relationships you desire. But if you are stuck in the survival response, the fight, flight, freeze, you are not in a place of conscious creation. You are creating unconsciously. You're creating from this place of I'm not safe. And so you're experiencing more experiences that are saying to your system, you're not safe, you're not safe, you're not safe. And that's where we experience a lot of chaos and disharmony and pain and suffering. Whereas when we are moving into or transitioning into this deep inner safety, this secure attachment within ourselves, we may experience pain, but the suffering is a lot less and eventually actually dissipates, where it's like, yes, I feel this pain, but I move through it. It passes through me, rather than me getting caught up in a web of thought, of story, of trauma and past wounding, and spiraling and overthinking and just spiral. And we just find ourselves like completely lost in the experience, shaming ourselves, wronging ourselves, judging ourselves, even experiencing self-hatred or hatred of life and wondering, why is this happening to me, and feeling really disempowered. When we start to move into that foundation of inner safety and security, we like, yes, this is happening, this is what I'm experiencing, but it does not have to dictate what I believe about myself, how I move through my life, and what I experience. I can let it pass through, I can feel it, I can express it, I can honor it, and I can stay centered in who I am, and I can keep showing up, I can keep moving forward. Your capacity expands for feeling. So your capacity to feel, your capacity to express, all expands. And so you're more able to touch and feel and express the depths of grief and sadness. You're able to express the anger and release it, because that's how we release it, is actually through expression. The more we suppress and push it down, it just festers and builds and gets agitated, and then we get all these triggers that are like, because your body's trying to heal. It's designed to heal naturally. So if you push it down, there's going to be things that come into your life that trigger it and poke it so it can come up and out, so it can be integrated. So it's like, if you suppress it, it's just going to come up later anyway. Whereas if you actually just allow yourself to feel it and express it now, it moves through, you move on. It's so much faster. And you can come back to your center, come back to your authenticity, and actually live your life, rather than fighting life and avoiding life and distracting and pushing away. And it takes so much effort, so much energy to do, to constantly protect and like try and dodge all the bullets. Whereas if we actually like, oh, this anger is bubbling up, this sadness is bubbling up. Let me take some time and some space to be with this and move it through my system. So much faster, so much more efficient, and you get to move back into your natural state of ease, flow, joy, love, connection. And then that's where you get to really enjoy the human experience that you're here to enjoy. And again, this is a process because for a long time we've been practicing shutting down, suppressing, pushing down, depressing. And that's where we can lead into depression and anxiety and fear of like something's going to get poked. And we're hypersensitive and on high alert. And we're just stuck in a survival mode, not actually getting to live. So for me, the answer is to do the work. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's intense at times. That's why we do it together. That's why you find the mentor, the coach, or the community, the support system that's going to support you to move through these layers, to move through this transformation, this alchemizing process, so you can come home to yourself and live. Finally, embrace your aliveness, your fullness, your authenticity, your power, your truth. And I just want to bring some awareness here to the idea that this is not serving me. So we can have this thought come up, or often I hear people set the intention, I'm here to release what's no longer serving me. And I just want to bring a little awareness around this, just to speak to, if this wasn't serving, it wouldn't be here. So if there is something here that you feel is not serving you and you need to release it, I want to invite you to get curious about how is it serving? Because if it wasn't serving, we wouldn't use it. Protective mechanisms, even if we call it self-sabotage is just a way that we protect ourselves. So that protection, there's part of you that feels like it needs to do that. It needs that protection. It doesn't feel safe. So getting really curious about that, because that's going to start to reveal a lot as well. And so as you start to move into creating safety for yourself, you will also start to notice what is currently in your life that is adding to feelings of unsafety. So is there toxic relationships? Is there maybe you're in a job or a position or a workplace that actually is causing more harm and creating feelings of I'm not safe. Maybe there are things in your environment, in your home, maybe where you're living, things that are actually not in your deepest alignment. And so as we start to explore this more deeply and you start to do more of this work around creating safety, you will start to become aware of what needs to shift in your life. You may start to feel like like these magnetic pulls and these like intuitions, these insights of like, oh, I've got to move. And it might be like just moving house. Maybe the house is just not the right energetic frequency for you. And there's like this pull or this intuition to move. It might be moving to a new location. It might be changing your work and really tuning into what work feels in deep alignment for me. What environment would create deep safety, security, as well as financial security, but also the environment that feels really supportive and connected and in alignment, that reflects your values. And then we start to look at our relationships as well. So maybe it's an intimate relationship. Maybe you've even held yourself back from having a relationship, but actually you're feeling what I deeply desire is to be in an intimate romantic relationship. If you're in a relationship, maybe there's boundaries that need to be set, needs that haven't been met. If you're a parent, maybe there's things that you need in place, support systems you need in place in order to feel more safe so that you can really show up as the best as the best version of yourself in those relationships with your children. Friendships, boundaries in family relationships. Maybe you need to upgrade things in your life, like for an example, like maybe you need a new car, or maybe there's a program that you need, or maybe you need a mentor or a coach or a community that you really vibe with, that you resonate with, that you need that support. Maybe there's a friendship that you want to call in. So just starting to feel into like, what support systems do I need in place in order to feel a deeper sense of safety? So yes, there is internal safety that we work on through doing the inner work, the embodiment journeys. But then there's also the external safety that we can expand those support systems, expand that network of safety. So it's not just about the inner world, it's also the external. So what needs to shift in my life to create more safety, more security? Yeah, and I just really want to bring through again, I know I say it a lot, but it's really, really important. Finding a mentor or a coach and a community, whether it's an online community or an in-person community or both, expanding your network, expanding your support system. We are designed to be in village, in community, in tribe. And when we don't have that, there is something that will instinctually, like alarm bells going off of like, there's something wrong here. Where is my village? Where is my community? Where is my tribe? So on a deep, primal, instinctual level, this will signal I'm not safe. So it is really important to have the mentors, the elders, the wisdom keepers in your life, the community, the tribe, the sisters, the brothers, that soul family. And so we don't need to have all of these things in place all at once. It's one step at a time. Maybe it feels maybe it feels in your capacity that you can reach out to one person. Maybe you already have one person in your life and you want to start having these conversations with them. Maybe even sending them this video to share with them what's going on, what you're exploring, and seeing maybe this resonates for them. And then you can start to have more of these conversations and build that tribe together. If you don't have that person in your life, you can start calling them in, you can start connecting with them, putting that intention out there to call in your community, to call in your mentor, to call in what it is that you're looking for. You have a direct line to source, to the divine, to the universe. You are always connected, even when we think we're not. There is always that connection there. It may have sometimes it feels like there's a lot of distance, and so the more of this work we do, the more that we come home to ourselves, the stronger that connection becomes, the stronger that knowing of I am connected becomes. And it's like almost getting a clearer channel. But you can set your intention right here, right now, to call in your community, to call in your tribe, to call in your soul sister, to call in your mentor, to call in, like, what is my next step here? Because maybe there is a program that you're feeling like you resonate with, that you want to step into, and then you start to make connections through doing that program through the community. We've also got the Woman Ascending Facebook community that you can join and start making those connections in there with people that are on a similar journey, on a similar path, that are open to this stuff. There's amazing women in there. And we also do free events and live experiences in there as well. So you'll get all the updates of what's happening, which will give you more opportunities to connect with more amazing humans on the journey. But yeah, allow this to be a journey of becoming aware of what is here, what is being revealed to you, what is it that you need, what needs to shift, and starting to do the work. one step at a time. So there is a lot that I'm sharing here. This is a big conversation, but this can just start to give you some ideas and start to open you up to what is that next step? What is going to support you? How can you start to lean into more safety and security? So it's not, again, we're not trying to throw ourselves in the deep end, but just starting to open up the mind and the heart to what's next for me on this journey of creating safety. And the last thing I want to say before I invite you into a practice is it's truly through liberation, liberating the emotions, integrating the trauma, releasing the limiting beliefs. We do all of this through the embodiment work. It's going to take more than just listening to this conversation. You need to do the work. This is what leads to a deeper sense of safety and inner security that will completely transform your life, your relationships, and align you to your truth, align you to the life that you deeply desire. This is what's going to allow you to create the life that your heart deeply desires to live. This is where you get to experience more ease, relaxation, aliveness, joy, love, connection. This is where the journey to embodying your authentic self begins. The foundation of creating safety. This is essential. This is where we begin. And I work with a lot of women that feel guilty or selfish when they prioritize themselves, because when we step into this journey, there is going to be a requirement to really prioritize yourself, to prioritize this work, to show up for yourself, to invest time, energy, and resources into you. And I want to remind you that this is not a selfish act, because if your cup is empty, you don't have a lot to give, and you're constantly over giving and winding up empty and depleted, drained, resentful, short-tempered, reactive, hypersensitive, because it's like your cup is so empty. We actually need to refill that and get to a place where it's so overflowing, where it just continues to flow, that you have so much to give. And when you give, it actually doesn't take away from your cup. We find that we actually almost create, like, what I'm seeing is like an infinity loop. As I give to you, I receive. As I give to you, I receive. As I give to you, I receive. And so this is also something that I've had to learn to embody on a very deep level to do the work that I do. Because if I was to be where I once was, where it was like over giving and giving and giving and giving, and I wasn't giving to myself, eventually I would reach depletion, burnout, resentment, and feeling undervalued, feeling like, oh, I can't go on, I can't keep doing this. But that was a really important lesson, because that's where I learned the infinity of as I give, I receive, as I give, I receive. And so when I'm here giving to you and to our community, I'm also receiving. And so we can learn how to create this abundance of flowing energy. So when I give to my loved ones, I'm also filling up my cup. And this starts by actually declaring that you are a priority, that you deserve to receive. And so what I want to invite you into to support you in moving forward from here is to practice curiosity and becoming the witness. So I spoke about this earlier in the conversation. Becoming curious about what is arising for you, what is bubbling up, and learning how to welcome all of it. Rather than trying to push it away or get rid of it, it's how can I welcome all the parts of me? How can I meet my edge and allow myself to feel a little more, touch it a little deeper, express a little bit more, working within your capacity. And as you work with that, it will begin to expand. And so we start to learn how to flow with our emotions, integrate these different parts of ourselves, and return to wholeness, return to our authentic selves. So curiosity, and become the observer. What's coming up for you? What is here to be felt? Allow yourself to feel it. So I'm going to invite you to actually commit to that practice for an entire month, and just notice, like, even like if you journal your experience with this, have some sort of reminder that reminds you of it, and journal about your experience. So if you're resonating with this conversation, I have a incredible embodiment journey workshop that you can get access to for just $37. You'll have lifetime access to it, and this will support you to really create that safety. Like I said, it's going to take more than just having a conversation to create that inner safety. So this is going to support you in going into the body and really shifting the system into safety, into secure attachment. So you can get that workshop. I've got the link below. And then if you do feel called to go even deeper on this journey together, I've actually got a creating safety program, which has a variety of workshops and conversations and guided practices that will support you in really deepening and anchoring in the safety into your nervous system. So that's going to really support you to take this work much further, to really start to step into more of your fullness, more of your expression. So I've got the link below for that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, comment below, or send me an email, and I'll be there to answer any questions you have. Sending you so much love. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to see how this unfolds for you. We do have a conversation thread inside the Woman Ascending community. So if you want to can tune in, plug into our community, join the conversation and really allow that space to hold and support you, I invite you to come join us.